Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We just got back from sunny Florida. We're back here in northern Indiana and it's freezing cold. It was snowing and raining the whole trip back. But today we are gonna dive into a new video. We are gonna talk about the best baits to go fishing for bass in January. So we'll see you out there. If you're lucky enough to still have open water in January, you're gonna be facing some of the most brutal temperatures that you're gonna find on the water. Basically, you're looking at temperatures anywhere from 41, 42, all the way down to 35, 36, 37. At this point, it would almost be better if the ice came on, the water would actually warm up a little bit. It would stabilize if the ice was on, and fish would be more apt to be in their wintertime locations. Now, while the frigid water temperatures can make fishing tough, there's actually a lot of fish activity on really, really cold days that you can take advantage of this time of the year. So let's dive in. We've got 5 baits plus a bonus one today to get you through. The number one bait that I'm gonna be throwing this time of the year, if we're still on the open water, anywhere I'm going, is the blade bait, right? I'm throwing a 1/2 ounce to 3/4 ounce blade, and I am looking for deep structure. We're talking 30, 40 feet of water up here in northern Indiana. You can go, out west to some of those deeper clear reservoirs when you're looking 60, 70, 80 feet of water. You can go down south and be looking in 15, 20 feet of water, just depending on what, what lake you're fishing, right? You want to focus that blade bait bite on those deeper structure areas, humps, ridges, saddles, anywhere that bait fish are going to intersect with bass. Now, up here in northern Indiana, Michigan, places like that, I really like to fish guts, right? Areas where there is not a lot of stuff on the bottom, but it is the central area where a bay kind of bottoms out or a cut bottoms out. Those guts are going to hold fish this time of year. And we learned that fishing crappie, right? On the ice. Those crappie always hold in those basins and those guts and those small depressions. Bass will do the same thing. Bait fish are there. Bass are not far behind. Bass will eat crappie too if they're in the right frame of mind. So the blade bait is definitely going to get you bit in the right situations, doing the right things, throwing the blade. There's a ton of different blades. Most of them do the same thing. Damiki vaults, silver buddies, whatever you want to throw. Here is a it's a good example of a reaction bait that is going to get bit regardless of the time of year. Number 2, we're staying with the metal bait, is the jigging spoon. Same thing. I'm going to target these fish in those guts and in those pockets with a jigging spoon. I'm going to stand on top of them. This is, for all intents and purposes, ice fishing from a boat, right? I'm getting this down. I'm dangling this in front of their face. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to let that side fall and wiggle on this bait, pull those fish in. Those bass will slam this. Also, if I can find bait fish schools and I can drop this down under a bait fish school, it's going to get bit. Bass, crappie, pike, northern, all of them run in the same kind of areas right now in this freezing temperature weather, right? So if you can get on them in those basins and those guts and drops, this is a great bait to dangle in front of them this time of the year. 1/4 ounce, 1/2 ounce. I like the smaller size right there. That's a 2-inch. Acme Castmaster right there. I really like this bait because it is flat on one side and beveled on the other, and that's a really loud profile for fish. It's just a hunk of metal, right? A jigging spoon. Now, as we're also considering different baits, right? We've got 2 metal baits that are pure reaction. The next bait I'm going to throw is the tube, and always in the cold water, I am throwing the Maxent Tube. I like this copper color right here. This is a deadly, deadly, deadly bait. I've done a lot of videos about this tube. This tube has a special place in my heart. It will literally catch fish in brutal conditions, right? If I'm going out and I'm going to throw either a jig or a tube, I'm taking the tube. This time of year, it's going to generate more bites. It's going to get bit more often. And me personally, I'm a numbers guy versus a size guy. I want to catch fish to know I'm in the right spot. Now, you can pick up a jig behind a tube and catch some bigger fish, maybe some different fish, but the tube is going to get the day in, day out call for me, especially the Maxent tube in this burnt copper color right here. This is the tube that I'm going to throw 9 times out of 10. If it's a tube, it's this one, or it's green pumpkin with red flake, right? And both of them always Maxent tubes in cold water. I'm a huge believer in the Maxent tube. I think it makes all the difference in the cold. The Maxent tube is the way to go, right? So that's 3 baits right now. Number 4, this is our first really, truly horizontal bait, and this is going to be that Arashi spin head with the Megabass Spark Shed. And that bait right there, cut to some underwater footage, is the Maserati of swim baits. The bite is going to be tough in brutal cold conditions. If the water has any clarity at all, dragging a single swim bait through the zone is really going to get you bit. In the coldest of water, they will bite a single swimmer. I like this because it destabilizes. It allows me to fish that bait slower. If I'm going to throw it on a regular head, I'm going to throw it on a Matt Allen Tactical Bass and Dirty Jigs 3/8 ounce head, and I'm going to let that bait just fall to the bottom, and I'm going to slowly drag it, the slowest wind you can think of. But that single swimmer is going to get bit in those brutal temperatures all the way down. Now, here's the interesting thing. This 5th bait here for you is going to change up the dynamics of what we thought, right? Tactical Bassin went out on a limb a few years ago, made the speed crank, did all of those videos where they're catching bass in brutal temperatures and freezing water, and it got me thinking about speed cranking. Now, the fish populations that I'm around are still susceptible to speed cranking. They just don't like as big of a profile. The same bait that can duplicate what that Tactical Bassin DD crank is the Wiggle Wart, right? The original Wiggle Wart, and I always throw them in crawfish colors when the water's cold. This bait, on sunny days, fish will pull up on rock veins or pull up on timber points. This bait is going to get you bit in the coldest water temps, right? That Wiggle Wart looks amazing underwater. It's got a nice wide wobble to it, and it's contrary to what we've always been taught about bass behavior in cold water. But what it does is it simulates that crawfish being there, digging through there. Bass are going to react to this. I grind this bait down, pause, burn, 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 pause, burn, 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 pause. And what those fish are going to do is they're purely going to react. It's like a jerk bait, right? But it's a crankbait. I have caught a bunch of fish doing that, right? Especially if I can find rock or timber. There's a great spot on the St. Joe River that has a bunch of timber. Smallmouth will chew this bait all winter if you can find them in the right spot, right? Now, this bait is a bonus for me as you go further south and those water temps are in the mid 40s to 50s. This is the only bait I'm going to throw. I'm going to grind points. I'm going to grind ledges. I'm going to grind humps with this bait because we're going to connect with the right kind of fish, right? If you got any kind of water clarity, you got rock, I'm throwing a crankbait, either an RC55 or a Wiggle Wart or the Tactical Bassin DD, but the Wiggle Wart is the one that always gets the call for me first in the wintertime because this is what it was made to do. Crawl through rocks, crawl through cover, get bit. All right, now, I said we had a bonus lure, the 6th lure, and if you can get away with the rig will still get bit in the coldest temps. Now, when the water is this cold, exclusively, I'm going to go with white to translucent swim baits, and I'm going to go with a bladed rig, and I'm going to slow roll that. I'm going to cast it out, let it fall all the way to the bottom, let it sit there, and then I'm going to slow wind that rig, right? And what that bladed rig does is it's going to call fish to react from a long way away. You want to pump it and give it some action while you're doing that. The bladed rig is a great way to get bit. It is a way that you can give fish their reaction bite that you desire. I like the white and the translucent color baits this time of year because I feel like they look better in the water. They look more natural. This is a time when you want to throw ultra natural stuff, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you learned something, give us a like, give us a subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, hit that bell for us, right? Turn that bell on so you get notifications when we post stuff. If you have likes, comments, give us a comment, right? Let us know what videos you want to do. If you have questions, ask them. If you want to see specific category Louis underwater, whatever it is, give us a ring on that comment section. We'll try to help you out. Hey, we'll see you out there. Thanks for hanging out with us today.